What is the biggest benefit that you've had since you've been? I mean, I guess that's 5 years now. So what's the biggest benefit that you've noticed compared to some of the places you've been before, as far as the stuff that you're working on?
So in LA, there's just filmmaking at every single level,
Mm,
from the very smallest, lowest budget things to the biggest productions. Like everything exists here. And so you can learn from so many different types of productions and people in ways that like the resources here are astronomical, like the amount of rental houses and people who have equipment and who know what they're doing and can teach you things. Like that is kind of the biggest benefit, I think, is just the amount of resources. Like every week you can go to a free screening if you know where to look, with the director, the producer, the actors talking about their craft. Like, and you can look up a lot of that stuff online. Of course, they
mhm.
have all of these videos, but that just doesn't appeal to me as much. I don't love sitting at a computer.
Sure.
It's fun to attend an event where you can turn around and maybe at the end there's a reception and you start talking to other people about what you just heard, what you just saw, and you meet and you connect with other people. Oh, I'm doing this thing, I'm doing that thing. Maybe you need help, I need help. It's a constant networking thing here in LA,
Sure.
is to like meet people, not only while you're working on set, but like outside of set as well. So just, I think the amount of people who are doing the same thing here as you is a benefit. The resources that exist, but then also sometimes like the limitation of that is that it's a little harder to get certain types of projects done here that are easy to do in smaller markets where nobody really cares if you're walking around filming, because you can't necessarily do that all the time in LA. People
Sure.
know what's going on, and so they'll say like, pay me $10 or $20,
Right.
or I'm gonna just turn on my lawnmower right now. So you can't shoot your thing, or you need a permit, or you can't have a camera in Beverly Hills because they have people walking around as ambassadors being like, you need a film permit to
Is
like,
that true?
yes, they
Really?
are just people who have like polo shirts that are Beverly Hills ambassadors that walk around and say like, you can't film. They're not security guards. Like they're
Is that
like,
their main function? Is to prevent? They've got to have other duties, right?
yeah,
Like
I think they're kind of like walking information
walking
desks.
information.
Like if somebody's visiting, like, oh, where do I find this
But for the
thing? Like,
filmmaking community, they're essentially bouncers,
pretty
basically.
much,
Yeah.
because I mean, everyone's going to try to go to Beverly Hills
Right.
and film all their stuff, which I get. But I think those are the limitations too, is that because everybody's also doing things, like there's sometimes more barriers.
Mm.
Like there's so many more steps that you need to do. Whereas in smaller markets, like you can ask your friend, let's just go do this
Sure.
thing, or a place, like they want to help you. Whereas here it's like, we can't, you got to get a permit, you got to get insurance, all, all that
Right.
jazz.
Right. Is there a certain type of work? You've done music videos, you've done narratives, you've done, commercials, you've done all this documentary type stuff. Is there a certain type of work that you enjoy more, or is it kind of, if you have a camera in your hand, you're happy?
That's a tough question, because what I love about this work is the variety of
Oh,
things
okay.
that I'm able to do and explore and achieve. Like it's tough because also sometimes in this industry people want to like put you in a box or narrowly focus you, and I understand why, because people think like, oh, if I specialize in one thing, then I'm just going to be really good at that one thing. But I also believe in like being a generalist and specializing
Sure.
in many things. And so it's really tough for me to pick, because I sometimes try to imagine, oh, if I had to pick one thing and do that for the rest of my life, it's really, really hard to choose,
Sure.
because the variety is what keeps me sane and what keeps me inspired to keep doing other things. Like if I'm just doing documentary for a while, I'm like, oh, now I want to do some comedy,
Right.
or just serious narratives. I'm like, oh, all this stuff is like so heavy and issue based. Like let's just laugh a little bit.
Right.
And then if it's like only music videos or something, it's just like, I've done this really cool shot 15 million times and everybody's seen this in a music video already. It's not an answer. It's like, it's really hard for me to pick, because
That's a perfect answer. Yeah, I
yeah.
imagine that makes sense, that the variety would be one of the appealing aspects completely. So,
And I think that's true for a lot of people too. Like there's just so many things to learn, endless amounts of things to learn and explore.
do you feel like the move out here was necessary? I mean, I know you wanted to do that, but do you feel like in order to pursue what you want to pursue, that it was a necessary step?
I think for me it was. I know people that are filmmakers in Iowa who seem to have really fulfilling careers doing projects that they love and being able to, make money on other types of projects, filmmaking. And it seems like they, if anything, like do more personal projects because of the lack of limitations that, that Iowa has. Like, not to say that they're big fish in a little pond, but it's like they have more time, I think, to really to do that, which is
and
amazing.
No Beverly Hills ambassadors.
And no Beverly Hills ambassadors to tell them that you can't film on this block,
right.
like, and I love that. And I think, and I wonder if maybe if I had a stronger network of people there that I would have stayed, but I don't think so. I don't think Wisconsin or the Midwest was really my place. Like, I loved living there and I like going back, but I don't identify as being from that area. Like, my mother is Mexican and my father is Canadian. And so culturally, like, we did not, it's not that we didn't fit in, but like, I just didn't have the same cultural, familial resources that everybody had there to just know about X, Y, and Z.
Sure.
Like, my mother painted the top part of our house like yellow, and then there was this unsaturated green trim, and people were like, "Oh, you like the Badgers, or you like the Green Bay Packers, eh?" And she was like, "Who are the Packers?"
Right.
Like, she had no idea who they were talking about. And so we didn't have like football culture or tailgating culture or even like church culture or anything, even though we went to church. But we would always gravitate towards people who came from international backgrounds as well, who were living in a place where they were not from there. And even though like I'm a white person, I didn't necessarily like super connect with like the white culture that was there. And that's not to say that like I'm super Mexican either, because I can't really culturally connect with a lived Hispanic experience, because I grew up with like one Mexican mother. And whenever I go to Mexico to visit family, like, I'm still the white girl.
Sure.
And so in LA, there's so much more diversity here than there is in the Midwest. And just having friends of different backgrounds who come from different countries, like, who've also moved from across the United States, like, everybody kind of comes here and we're all from a different place. But oftentimes in the Midwest, everyone's from the Midwest. And if you're not from there, it can feel difficult to feel a part of that, even though people can be very welcoming and nice. When I would tell them, "Oh, I'm going to move to LA for filmmaking," they would look at me like, "Oh, well, people are different there." And I'd be like, "Yeah, well, they're different here too."
Right.
Like,
right.
And they treat you differently here for different things, and they treat you differently there for different things. So it was never really an option for me to stay, like, culturally.
Sure.
And I wanted to learn more from filmmaking out here. That being said, I don't see myself settling in LA for the rest of my life. I think I would love to continue working in LA, but the goal would be to eventually move to somewhere else. And that might not even be in the United States, but I would really love to live in a different country and learn what filmmaking is like there and see how it culturally impacts them, and how different philosophies, different countries like go about narrative and go about making films, and support the arts in different ways too. That is my goal. So living and working here is really important right now to build up a network, to learn the technical, to have all these resources. But eventually I would love to go and learn something else, like consistently keep switching it up a little bit to push myself.